Did you know that a simple joke can hurt our planet? Imagine waking up on April Fool's Day to find that a prank has left roads full of abandoned cars, toxic smoke filling the sky, and emergency crews scrambling for no reason at all. Today, we're diving into the wild and wacky world of April Fool's Day jokes that caused real environmental damage. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to take you on a journey through pranks that went way too far, mixing shocking facts, ironic twists, and personal lessons that even a fifth grader can understand. I'm your narrator, and before we start, here's a quick preview. You're about to learn how a fake volcanic eruption, burning tires at a dormant volcano, and even a water hoax not only sparked laughter but also left a messy, real-world impact on our environment. And trust me, what happens next will change the way you look at pranks forever. Let's begin with the basics. Eco-pranks are those jokes or stunts meant to be funny that sometimes trigger unexpected chaos. Picture this: a news bulletin that isn't real, a fire that releases toxic smoke, or a chemical warning that turns out to be nothing but a science joke. These pranks are like a domino effect. One false alarm and the entire community feels the shock. And sometimes even the lightest joke can leave a heavy footprint on our surroundings. For example, when a TV station once reported that a hill was erupting like a volcano, people panicked, abandoned their cars, and emergency hotlines blew up with frantic calls. Even though it was all a prank, the environmental and community fallout was very real, proving that even laughter can sometimes lead to unintended disaster. Imagine this. It's April 1st, 1980 in Massachusetts. A local TV station ends its news with a dramatic bulletin declaring that Great Blue Hill is erupting. They use fiery footage from another famous eruption and throw in fake quotes from presidents and governors. The result? People panic and rush to evacuate, leaving cars abandoned on the roads. Emergency services are overwhelmed by calls, and chaos breaks out long before the April Fool's reveal appears on screen. This prank wasn't just about a good laugh, it turned into a real-life disaster with environmental consequences like extra waste on our roads and a strain on local resources. If only they had known that a joke on TV might change the way our community works every day. Now let's head north to Alaska in 1974. Meet Oliver "Porky" Bickar, a prankster whose plan was as bold as it was reckless. He spent years collecting old tires and finally set them ablaze in the crater of Mount Edgecumbe, a volcano that had been dormant for over 4,000 years. Here's what happened. The burning tires produced thick, toxic smoke that not only darkened the sky but also released dangerous chemicals into the soil. Even though some authorities were in the loop, the stunt still led to public panic and raised serious concerns about air quality and contamination. This is a perfect example of how an attempt to create a funny moment can quickly turn into a toxic spectacle, leaving a lasting mark on our environment. Next up is a classic twist on scientific language. Some radio stations once warned that the water supply was contaminated with dihydrogen monoxide. If you're wondering what that is, it's just water. But here's the twist. The scientific jargon sent hundreds of listeners into a frenzy, prompting frantic calls and unnecessary water tests. In the rush to save the community, emergency teams wasted chemicals and resources, and even generated hazardous waste from the tests. This hoax shows us that even when you're just playing with words, the unintended consequences can be very real, wasting resources and causing stress for everyone involved. Some pranks take environmental commentary to another level. Under the banner of Fossil Fool's Day, pranksters have staged fake oil spills at public fountains to protest fossil fuel dependence. The idea is to use humor to make people think about real oil spills, but sometimes, the cleanup process for these fake spills can harm water quality and disturb aquatic life. Instead of sparking a helpful conversation about renewable energy, the prank ends up causing real environmental risks. This ironic twist is a strong reminder that even well-meaning jokes must be handled carefully to avoid real-world damage. Imagine receiving a text or hearing a radio alert warning that your water is contaminated with hazardous chemicals. In some cases, false emergency calls have forced authorities to take drastic actions. Emergency crews are dispatched, water treatment chemicals are used in huge quantities, and massive amounts of waste are generated from tests and cleanups. This overreaction not only strains local resources but also creates environmental damage. showing that sometimes, a joke can trigger a chain reaction of costly real-world consequences. If you're shocked by how a prank can spiral into real disaster and want to see more eye-opening stories about eco-mishaps and responsible pranks, hit that subscribe button now and join our community of eco-conscious thinkers. Not every prank is just about media or broadcast chaos. Some pranks trigger mass evacuations that lead to road chaos and disturb local wildlife. Picture this: hundreds of residents suddenly leaving their homes cause traffic jams, abandoned vehicles, and even stampedes. The sudden surge of human activity forces animals off their natural migratory and foraging paths, creating long-term imbalances in local ecosystems. Even when the threat is fake, the ripple effects on infrastructure and nature are real and lasting. In our modern world, some companies have tried to join the eco-friendly trend by launching absurd green products like recycled air in a can. These pranks aim to criticize fossil fuel dependence but can backfire. Consumers get confused and may end up stockpiling or wasting resources on these so-called products. The ensuing production waste and consumer backlash only add to environmental stress, showing that not all jokes are harmless. This example proves that even pranks with a message can have negative outcomes if they are not executed responsibly. Here's the twist that brings it all together. While these April Fool's pranks caused real damage, from abandoned cars and toxic smoke to wasted resources and disrupted wildlife, they also sparked vital conversations about environmental responsibility. Every prank, no matter how humorous, reminds us that our actions have consequences. These stories teach us to be careful, to plan responsibly, and to always consider the long-term impact on our planet. I wanted to share these stories not just to make you laugh, but to show you that every joke carries a hidden cost. My own journey with these pranks has taught me that while laughter is important, responsibility matters even more. I learned that a prank, when planned without care, can end up hurting the very world we live in. Let's quickly recap what we've uncovered today. The Great Blue Hill eruption prank in 1980 sent a whole community into panic, leaving behind waste and disruption. Burning tires at Mount Edgecumbe in Alaska turned a joke into a toxic spectacle that endangered both people and nature. The dihydrogen monoxide hoax showed that scientific words, when misused, can waste precious resources and cause chaos. Fake oil spills and staged disaster calls remind us that even eco-friendly messages can have harmful side effects if not handled with care. Mass evacuations and misleading green energy announcements prove that every prank has a ripple effect on our roads, wildlife, and environment. In the end, while laughter is essential, so is responsibility. These eco-errors remind us to think twice before we pull the next prank. A responsible joke not only leaves everyone smiling, it helps keep our planet thriving and our communities safe. Thank you for joining me on this wild, eye-opening journey through April Fool's pranks that went too far. Keep questioning, keep laughing, and always remember, a simple joke might spark a moment of fun, but it can also change the world in ways we never expected. Until next time, let's keep it green, let's keep it growing, and let's always choose to make a positive impact.